Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined as always by Josh Bowe. We are here talking Monday night. It's December 1st. The Dallas Mavericks just beat the Denver Nuggets on the road to form the closest thing we've had to a win streak this year. Their second straight win. They beat the Nuggets 131 to 121. How are you?
The Mavericks, this is the Mavericks. This is the team, man. This is if you've been listening to this show and you've been following us and you've been a sicko despite the fact that they've, lost as many games as they've lost and all the nonsense and the noise, that the point that at least that we've been making is they play hard, they play close, they don't get blown out. And if you keep doing that, at least in the regular season, you're gonna get a night like this where if you just refuse to go quietly, things will happen and the ball will bounce your way and you kind of create your own luck and you create your own fortune and you will win some of these games. And that's what happened tonight. That's kind of what happened on Saturday because they also started that game off pretty poorly as well. Yeah, but they don't quit. It sounds so stupid, coach speak, rah locker room stuff, but I don't know what Jason Kidd does because this is very funny because this is kind of very much unlike what his previous, I don't know what he learned from his time in Milwaukee, going to Los Angeles as an assistant and then becoming the Mavs head coach, because this was not a Jason Kidd thing when he was in Milwaukee as a head coach and then Brooklyn. Those teams had pretty dysfunctional locker rooms. Whatever he did, I don't know if it's him, if it's the combination of players. He's had a lot of different players. You want to say it's all the players. He's had a lot of different players since he's been in Dallas. The roster's turned over a lot, to say the least. But yeah, this was a quintessential game of the season for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it's the best win, but this just kind of proves what we've been talking about for the last month. This team doesn't go quietly, and they were eventually going to get a break and win one of these games where they don't give up.
Yeah, and so I only caught the second half. I was following along Gamecast first half, and the Mavericks were down pretty bad. They gave up a 41-point first quarter.
Yeah, they're down 21-4 in the opening minutes of the game.
The fact that the Nuggets only scored 80 points over the next 36 minutes is pretty interesting and something I think we'll talk about as the game moves along. So they're down pretty bad. Then what happens in the second quarter? What went on there to where all of a sudden the game was it tied at half or was it right there?
No, they had a 1-point lead at half.
Yes, they did. Okay, I see that. So the Mavericks had a 1-point lead at half. What the hell happened in the second quarter to get 42 points is now that's their highest output of the season in a quarter.
Ryan Nembhard happened.
Okay, walk me through Ryan Nembhard, the aforementioned player who, as multiple people are sassing me about tonight, who I said I don't particularly have a ton of interest in Ryan Nembhard.
He made a bunch of shots. He's been doing what he's been doing when he gets time, and that he's a real point guard.
Mm-hmm.
So the floor game is we kind of know that. That's not a surprise. He had 10 assists tonight.
10 assists, switch.
He gets the team in their sets. He was doing that even when he got minutes early season. What happened tonight was he made all of his jumpers. And Denver was giving him those Denver was treating him like Caleb Martin. It was very bizarre in a way.
Floor 4 or 5 from 3.
Yeah, and almost all of his shots were outside of the paint. He did have a couple of really nice paint finishes, but Denver was rotating off of him. Denver was making decisions, and credit to the Mavericks for forcing Denver to need to make decisions and not kind of guard standstill, which is something we've criticized the Mavericks offense this season, is they make it easy for defenses. It's one thing to be a bad offensive team. It's another to kind of let defenses off the hook with your process.
Right.
And the Mavericks didn't do that. They, because they played a real point guard. They ran some sets. They got everyone in the position they needed to get into. And then they forced Denver to make some uncomfortable rotations, and Denver, for whatever reason, was like, okay, we're going to rotate off Nembhard and we're going to guard someone else. Yeah, every time. We're going to let him walk into pull-up jumpers, which mathematically says over the course of an 82-game season, that's the right defense, but that doesn't matter in the heat of a game. Where the sample size is one when the sample size is one game and not 82, you get burned, and that might suck. And Nembhard was game. He made his shots, he made his open looks, he made his catch and shoots, and then he made a ton of pull-ups in the mid-range because Denver was giving it to him. They were kind of chasing him around the screen, they were going under screens. They weren't staying connected to him at all. And credit for Nembhard for being like, okay, this is what you're going to give me. I'm going to go. And credit to him for, like, he took 14 shots. Like, he's a two-way rookie playing next to, like, Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson and Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick, and Najee Marshall, who I know doesn't have, like, a ton of skins on the wall, but, like, is established on this team as a scorer. Like, he needed to take those shots. Like, he could have very easily done the rookie thing and been very deferential, and he wasn't. So, yeah.
The Miami Heat game was he took 7 shots in the Miami Heat game. He took 11 against the Lakers, 8 against the Clippers, and this is by far his biggest minutes total. 35 minutes, 14 shots. I think just sort of electing to stick with him is important because and I mentioned this earlier in the year that I thought Brandon Williams, that the jig would eventually be up about Brandon Williams in terms of, once teams have him scouted, it becomes Brandon Williams go fast. That's basically what he does. And that's fine. That's skill set. But at a certain point, you stop surprising teams.
You want Brandon Williams to be your change of pace. Yes. You don't want him to be your starter. Yeah.
And if Nembhard's going to play a floor game, I don't think you can't really, I don't want to say you can't defend against it, but if he's going to orchestrate the offense like that, opposing teams are going to live with him running the offense. I bet we would, if he keeps, it seems silly to say it's like 3 games, but he's had 3 pretty good shooting games now in a row. I had 3 of 8. It's not great, but he did hit 2 of 5 from downtown in that game against the Clippers, where it's like you have 3 pretty good scoring games. And if he's going to be a willing shooter, that changes how teams defend him. The Nuggets actually really pulled up from the let him shoot thing in the last 5 minutes. And
then it opened up other stuff.
Yes. Which is why the Mavericks ended up closing out the Nuggets a lot harder than I had at around the 5-minute mark, I had a pretty good feeling the Mavericks were going to win the game, but not like that. Like that was a pretty
by 10 points.
That was a pretty emphatic door closing. So, okay, we'll circle back to some of the Nembhard stuff and other stuff in the second half of the show. This was it. Tell me if you think this is a really spicy take. We only have 15. Maybe this is the 16th game of Anthony Davis as a Dallas Maverick. I think this was his best performance as a Dallas Maverick. Is that nuts? I'm not interested in him in a play-in game. Like those games were so fucking.
Well, they lost by 16.
Yeah, I don't care if he scored 40 points in a play-in game. Kiss my ass. This was a game where against a player who he's had traditionally in Jokic, who's he is a tough guard. Jokic just is so much bigger than he is, and he played great. I mean, I was really impressed with what I saw from him tonight.
I think when you consider the opponent, the circumstance, on the road in Denver against a team that's kind of against a team and a player that's, had his number a little bit. Yeah, I'd go with that.
I'm maybe
not best, not best statistical, but like most impressed. Like this was his most impressive game in a Mavericks uniform.
I am not a Davis defender. I think it's pretty clear on that. I have been very frustrated with him, with the whole deal. I don't want to be unfair, but I think overall, I just like watching this game. I think it was the third quarter, maybe it was the fourth quarter. He was going up against Jonas Valanciunas, and he had a little like stutter step move in the lane and just blew right past Valanciunas to the rim. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. This is like, because I felt he was 13 to 23, obviously 32 points, season high, 13 boards. The defensive rebounding is where it's like, oh my God, yes, that's what, like, the Mavericks just need that.
Yeah, when you go from starting center Daniel Gafford to starting center Anthony Davis,
he gets 6 more boards a game that Gafford just can't get, and it's and we're talking about him and we're praising him as we should be. He had 3 stocks. He also is playing the 5.
Yeah, it makes it harder to exploit him in space.
Him and Cooper is a 4-5 combo. It's if let's say you have a real wild hair like my friend Jose online, and you're like, you know what, let's just keep this Anthony Davis guy. That sort of game is why you get to that point. So I was just I don't praise him enough because I'm not nice, but I was really I was just impressed. He hurt his hand twice in the game. Third time he went to the floor, I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, stop it. But it's, he's was the hammer of this game. Like the real Nembhard was hitting open shots, and I don't want to downplay the importance of that. But after what we've been through with Davis since he's been traded, just watching him play a very complete, meaningful game against a superior opponent is something I needed to see.
Right. You don't need to see him scoring 40 in a loss in the play, and you don't need to see him scoring 35 against the Hawks.
Don't care.
Like,
sorry, don't care.
Right.
Like, it's nice. It bolsters numbers, but like, if you're looking for something in this Mavs, like my favorite thing was a guy in my playback. He goes, "The Mavericks are going to be 500 by Christmas," and I'm like, I don't even know if they could be 500 by.
Are there enough games?
Are there enough games? Yeah. But this sort of becomes the element of. And we'll talk about this a little more later, and I'm sure we'll definitely talk about it in Mavs Party after the show. But it's like, what are you watching for? I'm watching to enjoy basketball. And, you and I have talked offline pretty regularly about just our own concerns about watching this team. Like, is it enough for us to, how much of this is bullshit? How much of this is like actually liking watching the basketball? And I got to say, man, through the Mavericks are now 7-15 through 22 games. There's about 3 games that I wish I could give back, but the rest of the time I'm like, I've liked it. And that's not nothing. Like, that's why we're doing this for. Like, you should enjoy how you want to spend your time. And this has been nice.
I mean, they've had 1 bad loss so they lost pretty. I mean, let's be real. They have 3 bad. I don't know how to describe it because I want to say they have 3 bad losses this season. Of their 15 losses, 3 of them are bad. And when I mean bad, I mean like uncompetitive, never had a chance to win. The season opener against the Spurs, then that game in Memphis where they got their doors blown off in Memphis. And then they played that game against Minnesota at Minnesota where I don't think anyone was healthy, and it was second out of back-to-back, and they were gassed. They were done.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, now they've had more than that bad losses because you lose to Washington at home. You lose to the Pelicans at home. Those are bad losses, but those were competitive games. Yes. It's not like they got ran off the floor, So that's why I'm not trying to say those weren't bad losses. Those were very bad losses, but in terms of they've had 3 uncompetitive games this season. Yes. They've played. We're at what game 20? They played 22 games. 3 of them have been uncompetitive losses. Like for a team that's 7-15, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Like there are teams better than them that have way more awful losses than them this season.
I mean, the Nuggets.
The
Nuggets, frankly, have if you go through their what and. I have a number of good friends doing the All Cities DNVR show, and this is who they've lost to recently. Us, they lost to San Antonio, who doesn't have Wemby. They lost to Sacramento, and they lost to Chicago. So it's
and they've lost to Portland.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's not good. It's not good, right?
No. So yeah, it's just. I keep waiting. This season has given this team every opportunity to be like, yep, that's enough for us. So the fact that they haven't, it's commendable. It also goes to show just how good it is to have youth too. Again, you can't build a playoff team or a championship contender on we play really hard.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When you get to the playoffs, every team is fucking
The
playing
intensity.
really hard.
This is why the Knicks always had problems under Tibbs.
Yeah, every game is intense. But you got to get to the playoffs to win a championship. And the first way you get there is you make sure that the regular season isn't a joke and you take it seriously and you win the games you're supposed to win and so on and so forth. Obviously, the Mavericks aren't anywhere close to that. They're 7-15. We'll see where they are by the end of Christmas. They got to play. I mean, their next 3 games are Miami, Oklahoma City, Houston. I mean, they play. I mean, again, but they beat Denver, which is going to be the second best team in the league. So they could theoretically beat anyone now. And it wouldn't be. I mean, it would still be shocking, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
So we'll see. But like, I feel like what they're doing right now is very good because they have to they're resetting the entire org and the culture. And like, I don't think it would have been great for Cooper Flagg's first season to be like a shit show, for lack of a better term. And they've cleared out Nico. They've gotten rid of that kind of bad energy from firing Nico, which I think makes a difference. Even if regardless of how you feel, like there was a bad stink around the organization for obvious reasons. And they play like, I feel like this is they're setting a foundation for the Cooper Flagg era in a good way. Like the fact that they are fighting their asses off every night, the fact that they're giving good team scares and even beating some of them. They beat Denver. I mean, I guess this is their first win against a team. This is second win over a team that's 500 because they had that Toronto win earlier. Mm-hmm. So like, again, it's not like you're not hanging a banner. You're not even thinking them seriously as maybe a playoff team this season. But I think like for the future, like instilling a sense of we don't give up when you've got your rookie with Cooper Flagg and a chance to reset the expectations around the culture of the organization. I think this is going to go like a long way. Like, I feel like this is what sets up like 3 years down the road when they're in a playoff series for the first time with Cooper Flagg or whenever it is. You're going to get that interview, ESPN halftime interview with Cooper Flagg. Like, and he's going to be like, yeah, I remember our rookie year. Like my rookie year, we didn't really take shit from anyone, even though we weren't that great. Like I could just see that. Maybe I'm really rambling about this, but I just think it matters. I think it matters because like you look at like the Philadelphia 76ers during the process era and how unserious those seasons were in terms of competitiveness. Well, I think that bled over. Like now all of a sudden you're better. But now you got to like be serious, and that team never really did anything. I'm not saying that's the reason why they didn't. They have this has to matter.
I believe in the concept of the culture, and if the culture becomes losing, you can't unfuck that. You just can't. It's an institutional psychological haze. I mean, there's an element of that where and again, we got to get to break here, but this is just like, you never ramble like that, which is why it's great. There's like a psychological element of this where it's like the Mavericks playing hard, even if things don't come together for them, it gives the fan base something to get behind. It gives us something to watch. I mean, the thing that that will stick with me that I dread is the last 30 games of the 2017-18 season where Rick was so fucking done with Dennis Smith Jr. and it was obvious and there was just nothing. There was nothing. And Rick couldn't help but do Rick things. And it was an impossible segment of games for me to watch. And that's where I'm like, don't do that. I don't want to do that. Okay, let's take a quick break. 3 ways to support the show. Listen to the ads. Give to us directly. There are links. And tell your friends. Grow the show. We will be right back after inserting the ads. Okay, thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you want to join Mavs Party, I'll be going to that right after this. Josh and I are talking here. I am during the break I was chiding one of our writers who refuses to learn elements of WordPress. So it's bullying sometimes works. So you need to head to Mavs Moneyball to read our stuff as well. Subscribe to the show if you haven't done that. Okay, for the umpteenth time this year, we somehow made it to the second half of the show without uttering really important words. Cooper Flagg. And I think it's interesting that important that he was a undercard. to this game, and yet still quite the fucking performance, right?
Yeah, it's still awesome. This was kind of like a peek into, I don't know, like he doesn't always, like everything just felt so natural for him tonight. Like it didn't feel, nothing was forced. He was in the flow, which is good because I think there was some concern, like Aaron Anthony Davis is back. The team starts ramping up him. Where do the shots go? What does it look like when he's not the best player on the floor, which he was when Anthony Davis was hurt? And I think it's very encouraging that he was still able to find his way to have not just an impactful game, like in terms of impacting the winning, but also like filling up the stat sheet still. Like that's really big for him because that's going to be important as he gets older and the team acquires more talent around him, how he can fit in and all that kind of stuff that you want your star player to play like that. Oh, you're on mute, Kirk.
Sorry. I want to address a take in the chat that I just saw that is spicy, but interesting. Don Ramon 2501 says Flagg looks way better on the court without PJ. What do you think? 2 games in a row. Is there some there? Because I think PJ's when PJ's inefficient, he's like 4 of 12, and he just eats up a lot of stuff. Not he's not bad. That's not what I mean. It's just another mouth to feed.
Well, also, have they been starting Nembhard? I need to look up
3 games.
Game
well, I got
like
3 games in Nembhard.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like,
2 of them.
Yeah, so
that's
like,
a good point.
I wonder how much of it is it no PJ, or is it like, they're starting maybe their best pure point guard in those times. But also, like, I mean, another part of it is, they replace PJ with Najee. So like, you look at the starting lineup: Nembhard, Christie, Flagg, Marshall, Davis. Nembhard and Marshall, like and Davis is a good passer too. So that's 3 pretty good passers next to Cooper in the starting lineup, where like you take Najee out and you put PJ in there, you take away, PJ's not like a terrible passer, but he's not, he has his turnover issues for sure. So that might be part of it too, is they're rolling out their best passing lineup right now.
Yeah.
Starting lineup since they've started the season. So I think that's got to be part of it too. I mean, PJ, I don't know. I want to see an extended stretch with Nembhard starting and PJ starting before I jump to any conclusions. But I don't think it's outlandish to look at like, oh, they got Najee in the lineup, who's a better passer than PJ, and Cooper is looking better. Because again, Cooper is he's at best as a play, like Anthony Davis, funny enough, play finisher.
Yep.
Not to say Cooper can't become a play starter down the road. We've already seen him do some of that, but right now, as a rookie, he's best as a play finisher, and the more passers you put on the floor is only going to make him better, I think.
Yes. Filibuster for a second. I just had something come up I got to deal with real quick.
No, you're good. I really did like Cooper's game, though. I liked the way it came to him. He didn't force it. He's scoring so on the paint. Ever since you mentioned him shooting with his left hand at the rim, that's all I was looking at tonight. And he had a ton more finishes with the left hand. He was
weird looking, and it's still working.
Yeah, like the way he flips it up like really high off the glass, and so I always think it's not going to go in with how high it's coming off the glass, but then it does. He was 9 of 13 in the paint tonight.
He had a finish at the end there that kind of helped seal the game, where kid called a timeout, and that was a right-handed one. But good gracious, like I did this video, and it's very funny. I think Mark Cuban and I have finally reached a detente in our not nice to each other war, where I'm doing these videos, and he liked one of them, and he's like, this is good, it's positive. And it's like, well, Cooper's fun to talk about. Like, I want to talk, like, I really wish I sort of understood NBA level defense more, because I want to know what he's really great at in that regard. But the offensive stuff, he's just, I keep saying, oh, he's not going to be a Luka level scorer, because I don't think that's a thing. But then he just has these like stretches where I'm like, man, what if he did just decide to shoot 35 times a game. What the hell would happen?
I know. But I mean, he's doing it without making threes. He hasn't needed to make threes. I mean, it's just, I don't want to sound like an idiot, but it's the Jason. I mean, this is not, it's like the same thing that's happened every season since Jason Kidd's been coached, where he tries these lineups and stuff that doesn't work and everyone knows they don't work. And then he goes to what we think will work and it looks better. Like, it's kind of like, he's not playing point guard and he's not playing with two centers. Like, he's playing with a real point guard, and his center, Anthony Davis, is Davis is actually a good passer. Maybe utilize it more when he's playing the five instead of trying to square all this non-shooting big lineup onto the floor at the same time. And it's like, no duh, Cooper Flagg looks awesome when you're playing him with like a center at Davis who's a good like that. Like, Anthony Davis center ranks as like one of the best passing. Like, if he's playing center, he's one of the best passing centers in the league.
Okay.
Like, that sounds crazy, but he is. Like, obviously he's not Jokic, he's not Sengun, but he's up there. He's in like the top 5, 6, 7. And you put him next to a real point guard and Ryan Nembhard. You put him next to Najee Marshall, another good passer, connective passer. Like, I don't know. It's some of it's like, no duh. Like, he's gonna look better, but I'm just glad they got to it, and kudos to him for. I don't know how bad that wrist, that thumb sprain is, and like, I don't know if that's why. Like, you mentioned that after the Clippers game, is that why he's shooting?
He's on the injury report.
It's crazy,
but he's on the injury report, like the actual NBA injury report. He
has to be if he's wearing that wrap. Like, you can't hide that.
That's right. That's right. And it's just the. So there's been, and I got to put emphasis on this, that it's not been loud, but it's been enough to where they're like, the Cooper criticism, he's disappointing. And it's like, the Mavs are disappointing. I've really not been disappointed.
No, and also, if that's still happening, it's over now. Like
it better be.
Like, I don't want to hear any of that.
I get these. I've just been flooded with a string of bots lately, where it's like accounts from it could be actual bots, like the ones in Superman, where people are like, "We saw you mad after the Luka trade. You're not a Mavs fan," and I'm like, brother in Christ, I'm 41 years old. I've watched this team longer than most of the people online have been alive. Like just leave me alone. Cooper. So there's two things I want to drop before we get out of here, because we're close to done, unless you want to keep going. I think this is one cool stat and then one just sort of turd in the punch bowl thing. According to Mike Curtis, actually it's according to Elias Sports, but Mike Curtis tweeted that two-way guard Ryan Nembhard is the first undrafted rookie in NBA history to record 25 points and 10 assists with 0 turnovers. On top of that 10 assists is the most from an undrafted rookie in Mavericks history. He beat out Yogi Ferrell and Marquise Daniels for that title. So I think that's
yeah. Mavericks had 35 assists and 8 turnovers. Gonna win a lot of games.
So that's their second straight game with 8 turnovers. And what we've learned is that not turning the ball over is good.
Point guards matter.
But it's also just like flat out ball control. Like,
I know.
It's across the board. So my turd in the punch bowl stat is the Mavericks shot 16 of 31 from 3.
Yeah, they got hot.
So it's like you combine like what we talked about when we're at our most negative is how the Mavericks come into most games at a disadvantage in the math. Do we see anything in these games to where they're developing any kind of advantage in the math that is sustainable?
Cutting down your turnovers by playing a real point guard is sustainable. The 3-point shooting is probably not sustainable. But the rebounding was a little. I mean,
Davis rebounding is just such a.
He's such a better rebounder than Gafford. It's not. It's not even funny. If he plays, they will shore up that part of it. So if you think of the math as 3 categories: threes, turnovers, offensive rebounding. Theoretically, the turnovers and rebounding is sustainable if Nembhard can play. I mean, I guess it's sustainable if a two-way rookie is going to keep playing well. And then Davis staying healthy would you help with the rebounding. But I mean, I'm
going to save the Nembhard kind of like what to do about him for Mavs Party, because I think I don't want to. You and I could talk about that for another 15 minutes because it's actually an interesting thing. So, is there anything else you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No, I mean, probably shout out like like we talked about it after the Clippers game, that like Clay is kind of back.
Yes.
He's shooting 3 of 5 tonight. He was 6 of 10 Saturday, 3 of 6 against the Lakers, 3 of 9 from 3 in Miami, 6 of 12 Memphis. Like ever since he's been coming off the bench, he's been awesome. So like they wouldn't have won either of these two games without him. Obviously the Saturday game against Clippers, he literally single-handedly almost saved that game. And then this game, he was kind of quiet. I feel like he, like with Davis and Nimhard and Cooper going nuts, like Clay kind of quietly was steadying the ship with his 15 points on 10 shots.
Yep.
So just shout out to Clay. He's a veteran with shame.
Well, you know, a reason to keep watching the Mavs. They play Wednesday at home. Who do they play? The Heat. Ooh, that'll be a good game. That'll be a real good game. If Davis is playing in that game, that becomes a very, very interesting game. Because the Mavericks are right there. The Heat are a very good team, but that's just kind of a styles make fights game because the Heat play so differently than others. So come back for that one. If you want to hang out here, I'm going to do our Mavs party. So we'll let Josh go edit. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully people turned in easy to read stuff. We'll see. You never know. This has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bow. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we will talk with you guys on Wednesday night. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Mavericks. Did I do group therapy? I didn't mean to select that one. I need to select Mavs Party because the Mavericks just beat the Denver Nuggets 131-121. Josh and I just recorded the show. If you're listening to this on the audio stream at some point on Tuesday, be sure to consider joining our YouTube channel. That is how you participate in this show and get your takes off. Real easy to do. Click into a link that I share in the YouTube, and you can come up here and talk like it's a Zoom meeting or whatnot. Got my friend Glenn waiting, so we're going to stop me running my mouth and go directly to people who have things to say about the game. Hey, Glenn, how you doing?
Evening, Kirk. How you doing? What a great night.
Yeah, I had a fun game. It was good. Basketball is sometimes the wins can be a slog and the losses can be fun, but wins are supposed to be fun, and this was definitely a wild back and forth game. The Denver Nuggets should be ashamed of themselves, but I don't really care. I had fun winning.
Did you watch from the very beginning?
No, I missed the first half. I was on my game cast. I was at my kids' basketball practice, and it's one of those where I think I'm checking here. They're down by as many as like 16 to 18 points in the first quarter or in the first half, and it's like, oh no, this is going to be
immediately
one of those.
No, like in the first minute, they were down 21 something. Like I turned it on 5 minutes into the first quarter. It was 21-5, I believe.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, I don't even think you could score that many points in 5 minutes of basketball. But here we are.
Yes.
And then I was thinking to myself, so why am I going to do this to myself? Like, why am I going to watch if they're not going to put in the effort? But I'm glad I stuck with it because, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. So I got a few notes here. Nothing particularly insightful as usual. First off, Denver deserved to lose just for wearing those stupid ass jerseys. Did you see it says the Mile High City is what's written on the front of their jersey. You are the Denver Nuggets. That's your team name. You don't get to put other names on the shirts, in my opinion. Disagree?
It's not my favorite thing. The NBA stuff, though, the way they make these teams operate in a marketing sense, I feel bad for some of the people.
Yeah. Okay, great. I mean, you can make money off of good shirt designs, but that was just stupid. 8:53 in the second quarter. Davis gets it to Nemhard, who's 15 feet away, and he's got just a wide open look.
Mhm.
But instead of shooting it, he sees Davis rolling to the basket and hits him for an easy layup. At which point I'm thinking, it's a real point guard. A real point guard does that. He looks to see if there's a guy rolling to the basket. First, can I get an assist? Fantastic. That Dudang says, forget how great it was to see a great point guard play.
That's right.
Yes, fantastic. Like, we have a real point guard, and he was undrafted. Did we give him a second round? He was undrafted.
He was undrafted, but it is understood that he basically the second round of the NBA that happening on another day after the first round basically is something the NBA is gonna have to take a hard look at, because agents are essentially like threatening teams like, don't draft this guy because him and his agent forced their way to the Mavericks. Like, that was a very intentional thing. I can't prove that, but he should have probably been like in the 30 to 40 range with his skill set.
I remember whatever show I was listening to at the time, they kept saying we should trade up. We should trade back into the draft to get Nebhard.
To get him, yeah.
Yes.
And so I think it was understood that he wanted to be a Maverick, and teams sometimes actually listen to what players and agents ask for whatever reason. So that's my take.
I don't think you even mentioned in the post-game show his efficiency. Maybe you did. I didn't hear it. He was 12 for 14.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff there.
Yeah. So it turns out if you're not turning the ball over and you're not missing shots, that's a good formula for winning.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. 3 minutes left in the second quarter. One of the most amazing things. So Cooper is guarding the guy in the corner who's posting up or who's setting up for a three. So Denver rolls to the basket and tries an alley-oop, thinking, well, okay, we've got a clear lane here because Cooper is in the corner. But what they don't realize is that Cooper can get from the corner to the basket faster than you can throw an alley-oop up, apparently.
He's ridiculous.
He's ridiculous.
Yes. That's the sort of thing where, and you know, I'm not good at this, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything. It's so easy to ball watch in the NBA and not see stuff like what you're describing, because for me at least, like Josh is very good at seeing this first glance. Like, I need to rewind and look at what you're describing. Oh my God, there he did the thing. And this is where you've watched the NBA for a while. This is where I felt the defensive comps to the Utah Jazz. Like, he would have been a small forward back when he played. Andrei Kirilenko came in, and like Kirilenko was just a stat stuffing machine, because he was like, remember Street Fighter 2, the guy, the Indian guy? Like, I can't remember.
I think so, yeah.
Like his arms stretched out. Like, that is what Flagg does. His limbs are just places. It's like, it was so funny because in the Saturday win, Dwight Powell got like set almost a team record with 6 steals. And it was like, the reason that Cooper didn't get any steals in that game is because Dwight had them all. But this is just the sort of thing where Flagg,
the Maple Thief.
Right. Flagg is just going to be in the mix where he's going to get blocks and steals every game, because he just has a knack for deflections and knowing where the ball is going to be.
Yeah. Well, and again, if you go back and watch that, I think people don't realize how far that is from the corner to the basket, because when you see it on TV, everything is sort of compressed looking.
Yeah.
So it looks like, all right, well, he just took a couple of steps, but no, it's a really difficult to get from all the way in the corner. He wasn't totally all the way in the corner, but from where he was to get back over there and stop that alley-oop is pretty amazing.
I agree.
It's a real joy to watch him play defense, especially if you start watching off ball.
Yes.
I will also mention that Jokic is now planetary. He's expanded to the point. It's like watching, you ever, like, sometimes when you're on the highway, you see them moving a mobile home, and there's no room for the other cars to get around him.
Yes.
That's what it's like watching him on the court. He's become so humongously big that players just can't get around him.
Though he's been, when Aaron Gordon goes down, you can kind of, he's always been a bit of a loafer on defense, particularly on games. And frankly, he just has reason to believe this, where he can score a bunch of points or make the right passes and come back from 6 to 5 or 6 points. But he was abysmal in elements of this game tonight. Like really, that's one of the more shocking Jokic performances I've ever seen, where I'm just like, what? This guy is too good at basketball to be really bad defensively like he was. Because AD blew a layup. I mean, it's not really even fair. AD missed this layup that like rattled around like a pinball and then popped out, and it's like, oh, it's Jokic is there for defense. Like Jokic didn't do anything unless he blew up and like somehow forced the ball out of the rim. But it's like I just wasn't very impressed by Jokic tonight, and that's a first for me. He's so good, and I was impressed by how Anthony Davis took it to him, which is one of the things that I have been very critical about Davis since he's been on the team, at least.
I saw that play and I remember thinking to myself, what did he do? But but at the same time, he always looks like the most casual basketball player that you've seen, right? He's just out there casually hanging around.
Yep.
Ball comes. He just never looks like he's putting any effort in, but he does. I do also want to mention 9:21 in the fourth quarter. AD Luca'd us. He missed a layup. It was a difficult layup, but then he lay down on his end on the other end of the floor and never went back on defense. And they got a dunk.
Yes.
And let's keep that to ourselves. Like let's I hope Kid says to him, we had a guy like that who gave up 6 points a game on plays where he didn't run back down the court, and we would appreciate it if you would run back down on every single play.
That's one of his secret flaws that does not get discussed near enough, is he bitches just as much as Luka did. And he's not as demonstrative, but he does the like loafing back thing. And our guy Brian, who hasn't been in here in a few games, is like, if he'll just play hard for a month, the Mavericks will be able to get 2 first-round picks for him. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but tonight's a good example of where it's like, oh yeah, that's the Anthony Davis that everybody thinks about when they're talking about him.
I am of the opinion that some team will either suffer an injury or they will feel like we're one player away.
Yeah.
And if we wait until near the trade deadline, and if AD stays healthy, which is impossible, right? I mean, he only went through about 8 minutes in this game before he started holding his hand like this.
Yeah. I saw the finger injury on the rim. That actually looked really hurt.
Sure. And he kept playing, so I'm not going to complain about it. But I mean, you just hope that he can go through some games without getting injured. The last thing in my notes is just that so I said this in the second quarter, but now it's so obvious. The Cooper to Nebhart connection is so natural and flowing that, God, I hope we're looking at that 5 years from now. Like, is this a foundation of a team here?
I'm already getting yelled at enough about my Nembhard takes, because my Nembhard take is congratulations to him for hitting the open shots that were gifted to him. I am pleased that he was fun to watch tonight. He's not it for me. Big picture. Okay. Just because of size.
Yes.
Like just because one thing that hasn't, like, I was very surprised that the Clippers didn't just try to put him on an island and they just didn't care. Instead, Cooper killed him. And there's just going to be games where I think where it's like, oh yeah, he can't, it's not that he doesn't compete or anything like that, but it's just bigger size tends to win out in the long run. That's all I'm coming from. And so for now, my plan is to enjoy him and hope that he matters to this team in a way that is sustainable for the long term. I don't want to say he can't be that, because that's not true. I said that the other game, and I think that was rude and probably a bit too glib of me. But it's just like Andrew Nembhard starter. It's tough for me. No, maybe I'll be wrong.
No, I get you. There's so many 6'8" guards in the NBA that you're gonna get to a point where they just use pick and rolls to switch over to him and then just shoot over him. But hey, Kyrie's only 6'1".
Yeah,
right?
Kyrie's smaller, and Kevin in the chat says you probably thought that about Brunson too. Like, it's literally in my Twitter history. However, Brunson is 4 inches taller than this guy. Like, I can't emphasize enough to you that he's 5'9" to 5'10". Brunson is 6 foot 6'1". Kyrie's 6'1", maybe 6'1.5". And it's tough. You have to build your team a certain way. And I watch the best teams, but really it's a question of when you're building a team, what are you hoping for? I'm not anywhere in my brain hoping for a contender as much as I am hoping that they build a competitive team. Then I worry about contender status.
Yeah,
competitive playoff version. Then how do you take the leaps? You can't go from one thing to another in a single season. Very rare. So does Nembhard have a place within this team structure? Yes. And I'm glad you brought this up because you give me a second to talk about something. Lots of people have been asking how the hell he can be on an actual Dallas Mavericks contract, not a two-way. They have to get my buddy Scott. Sorry, I had this pulled up and then of course I just got rid of it. I closed the tab, but my buddy Scott, who is CBA Mavs, basically says, what does he say here? He says, to reduce the payroll and open a spot or wait till mid-January to waive Exum and sign Nembhard. That would be what they have to do because there's something about the January dates where they can, and the way the league business year works. The Mavericks don't want to be in cap hell. They're very close to that second apron. And if they cut someone and sign someone, I don't even think they could actually legally sign someone. They're that close to the second apron. So I think the long-term play is Nembhard will eventually get signed to the Mavericks, but it's not going to be something they can actually do quickly.
There should be a rule, by the way, called the Exum rule that basically says if a player doesn't actually end up playing for your team, you should be able to cut him without penalty. That's just my suggestion to the NBA.
They have some stuff that they got to clean up. You learn that with every collective bargaining agreement and that somebody finds an angle.
There you go. So. All right. I've talked enough tonight.
That's great.
But yeah, that was just fun. That was really fun to watch. And I hope, I think it was you that said the other day that forget tanking right now. Let's just have fun and watch the games and tanking will work itself out.
There are literally 60 games left.
Yeah.
I can't talk about tanking for 60 games. If you go through their calendar the rest of the month, it's hard. They would need to get to 9 wins by Christmas to avoid some of the things I've talked, like some of the historical comparisons to teams of the last 15 years that have been bad in Mavericks. They play Brooklyn and Utah. Those are both a pair of wins that are right on the schedule. They play New Orleans, which is right out there. And then they, some of the rest they do have a tough schedule. I mean, they go Miami, Oklahoma City, Houston. That's their next 3. That's hard. And if they get whooped in each of those 3 games, that's life. I'm not gonna die over it the way I used to because each game I'm finding something interesting to learn or to enjoy. And we'll just kind of take it one game at a time. If we get in the 50s and the Mavericks are 15 games under 500, I don't even know what the record would be at that point. Then maybe we can talk more about what does tanking mean and that. But until then, I'm gonna put a stopper in it.
As long as Cooper Flagg continues to grow every night as a player, then I'm fine either way. I'm enjoying watching.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Okay.
Thanks for having me. Always great. Have a great night, Kirk.
Okay. Whoop. Hello. I just went full screen on my own show. I don't even know how I did that. I'm going to insert some ads here because Karam is the only one waiting. And then, if anybody else wants to join after that, of course, I will bring you up here, but I got to insert ads where I can. Remember 3 ways to support the show. Tell your friends. You can give to us directly if you feel like it. And then last but not least is to actually listen to the ads because that's how Josh and I get paid. We will be right back after these ads. All right. Welcome back. Longtime listener and multi-time caller. Karam is waiting. If you want to join the show, all you got to do is click the link. Karam, what's up, friend?
Hi, how are you? Is it just you and me on here?
Just you and I. There's nobody else waiting to chat. It's tough because I think hear me out for this. You'll allow me to soliloquize on my own show, even though I brought you
Yeah.
up on stage.
Go for it.
If you're watching now, you're kind of in it because it's like do you want to stay up late on a Monday to watch the Mavericks get beat by the Nuggets? Like that's probably what a lot of fans thought, and I wouldn't blame them. But if you're like watching in these games, then you're going to be watching all the games because it's like this is where really like hardcore fandom gets formed when things are bad, not when things are good. I had 1 million podcast downloads 3 years ago because we were pretty good and fun. Or no, that was 2021-22 season, whatever. But now I just, we get far less because it's the Mavericks are an up and down thing. And there's not a lot, like there's more fair. Now is for when you're like true sicko mode stuff. And that's why, that's why I started the show. So tell me, what are you thinking? What's going on?
I mean, I think this is our first back-to-back. I'm not back-to-back, but like back-to-back wins, right? 2 in a row.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good, right?
Yes.
And especially against the Nuggets. I thought we were gonna get blown out, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, it looked
it was 17 points. They were up by 17 points at one point. The Mavs won, so that's a 27-point swing over the course of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Josh. I think, this team does fight a lot. It really does fight. And, it's a testament to Jason Kidd and that coaching staff. He really does bring out the best. Well, not the best, but the best, and the effort from his guys is, with all of his flaws, that's the best thing that I think that Jason Kidd does. And I think that's amazing. I do not like, though, your take on Nembhard. And I'll tell you why. Because I think I was really high on him on the very first game when I think he had 10 or 12 points and 5 assists against the Spurs. That
right.
He outplayed Cooper Flagg. But, I get it. He's small, but so was JJ Barrera. And if I remember correctly, LeBron James, King James, GOAT, couldn't do a damn thing against JJ. So do I think Nembhard will be JJ? No, but I think we can see the signs of what can be if he can play these type of games. A really good bench player who gets you 6 or 7 points a game. Not points, assists, points. I mean, I don't know. I'm high on him. I saw him in college. I'm high on him. I think
it's good. You should like players that you like, and I think the Ross. So I perhaps need to clarify my position before various podcast aggregators scream at me till the end of time. I'm not saying I think I jokingly said before I don't know if he's an NBA player. Okay, I'll walk that one back. Wrong. I don't think he's an NBA starter. So it's the question from friend Glenn was, do you think we're going to be talking about him in 5 years? And I sort of interpreted that as these two being a pick and roll duo like Dirk and Jet. And I'm just no. But even Jet came off the bench. Do you know what I mean? So if you think there's a spot for him on the Mavericks growth chart, all for it. Who am I to knock that down? Because right now, 25-10, 0 turnovers is so incredibly impressive. I can't really contextualize it.
No, and I agree. And I think his last few games that he did play, I think his assist to turnover ratio has been pretty good. So I'd have to go back and look, but I know his first game. I mean, he hasn't played much. He's been injured. But I think the few games he's had, his assist to turnover has been really, really impressive.
Yeah. No, I mean the ball control is the direct correlation to the 2 wins. 8 turnovers in each of the 2 wins.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I mean, this is AD's second game back. First game he was kind of ass, to be expected, but
I mean he was fine. He just wasn't impressive. And this was a very impressive game.
It was. I was really. He was all over. I think he had 13 rebounds, 32 points, a couple blocks and steal.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive game against who I think is the MVP, Jokic. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of torn because if we can get this type of AD healthy, I kind of want to see what they can do, for the rest of the year. But I think trading him would be the best option. I'm torn.
Yeah, I mean, I said a second ago, if the Mavericks get walloped in the next 3 games, does that change your opinion on how you feel about him? And it's like at a certain point, you're fighting the tide.
Yeah.
It's not that the Mavericks, it's even if they're not as bad as, because I think we've talked about this in different shows. They weren't they probably should have won more of these clutch games than they've lost. It's like they're not gonna lose every single clutch game.
No.
So
I don't know. Do you buy into the rumor with him being traded to Chicago?
No, because that article, if you read the actual thing, it says the Chicago front office at this point have discussed it, but they're not giving up anything of value to get him. That's a bargaining position. That's not a real, I don't know where they really would be, but it's, to me, my timeline and my social media following friends are just a little too presumptuous about the Chicago front office's stupidity. And there's good reason for that. Historically been pretty rough, but I can't bank on that as my starting point.
Isaac Harris, I think, was on Locked On Mavs. He talked about possibly the Knicks, that there were some rumors about the Knicks. Have you heard anything about that?
See, and that's where it's like a lot of people think that the Knicks are sick of Cat, and maybe that's the case. But a Cat swap doesn't do anything for me. I want to have a pick. That's all. I just really want picks, because I don't think the Mavericks are not in a place where Cat moves the needle, and they just need the younger than Cat talent.
So are you trying to create kind of like what OKC has done in building through the draft?
Great question. So I kind of riffed on this today. The way this salary cap is set up, meaning the CBA structure, the only way you build a good team is through the draft. It is the only way. The NBA has become what the NFL is, where in the NFL, if a player gets to free agency, there is a reason. Very rarely in the NBA does a good player make it to free agency because the team doesn't want to pay him or can't pay him. That's just not how this stuff is structured. Teams can find a way. You're allowed to go over the salary cap and yada, yada, yada. So therefore, all the teams that have been good, even going back to the Warriors did do some free agency building because of the KD and the cap spike bump. But all the good teams have been draft built. The Mavericks tried to buck that trend because they had Luka, and then we got PJ and Gafford on top of Lively, etc. But I mean, the Celtics, the Pistons, what we're looking at now, the Thunder, the best teams are built through the draft. It's what makes the Jokic of this all very interesting, because the Nuggets have also had to build through the draft. They're not a free agency town. And so I want the bites at the apple. That's where you have Cooper Flagg, and then you say, okay, we got the 26th pick, and then quite literally nothing in 27, 28. Well, you get the picks, but they're swaps, so you don't have control in 28 at least, in 2030. And so, and in 29, you get the Lakers pick, but who knows how good or bad that'll be. Nothing is within the Mavericks' own control for too long, and that's why I want more draft picks. That's all.
I mean, I agree. I agree to an extent, but then when I think about the draft, right?
Sure.
You mentioned really good teams like the Celtics and the Nuggets and OKC. But then I look at teams like the Lakers. They ended up getting Lonzo Ball and D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle. That didn't really do well with them. Obviously, they got rid of them for LeBron's sake to get AD. Look
at that list of guys that they drafted until they traded for LeBron. all of those guys are pretty freaking good NBA players. They're just not the S tier superstar that comes along once in every 5 drafts. That's the thing that you just don't know. Now, the question for this Mavericks team and for all of us is Cooper that guy? I don't really have a ton of interest in that discussion for at least 2 years.
Okay, but then if we're also voting through the draft, there's always going to be the scenario that we will end up being like the Philadelphia 76ers that we're just not going to go anywhere. I mean, they built through the draft and look what's happened.
But they also, so are you talking about the Joel Embiid and the Ben Simmons Sixers or the current Sixers that are playing right now?
Well, I mean the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I mean, it took how many years before they could even get to that point?
This is a great point because they built a losing culture while losing a ton. Then what you have in stark contrast. So now, granted, they're 9th in the East right now, but these are the guys who are on their roster that they did not pick particularly early. They have Tyrese Maxey, who was available for when the Mavericks were picking in 2020. They have Jared McCain, who they did not get with a super high pick. I can't remember what pick he was taken. And, now they have VJ Edgecombe, who was available after Flagg. Now he's obviously a top 3 pick, very, very, very talented. But is he a franchise changing guy? I don't know. But the Sixers as a team are certainly more exciting than they were as recently as even last season in particular. You just need the opportunities. Now we've been really spoiled in Mavs land. I mean, you get Dirk and you get Luka, and that's what the comparison points are always gonna be. But that's why you need the opportunity to even take a guy like that. You're just not finding that in free agency, is what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do like to have some control over our picks. As of right now, we only have one control, and that's
right.
For this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
When they say pick swap, because I know we have some pick swap. What does that specifically mean? Like if we're like third, we're third and they're 15, we give them our third and then we get their 15.
Bingo.
Well, that's dumb.
That's why this stuff was so risky even at the time. Like I keep sort of talking about this with friends where if Luka was still on the roster, we would be having future-led discussions where it's like, well, what are the Mavs going to do? Like they don't have a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
And that's the risk. I hate pick swaps. I hate it.
Yeah,
like it feels like
you have to be basically really good for it to matter.
And that's the bet that teams make against you. And that's why Nico, when he traded Luka, he then sat down and is like, well, I have about a 4-year window because he knew all the other bets that he had made were coming due.
Yeah.
It's brutal, right?
Well, that asshole is gone, and I hope we no longer have to hear him. Last question before I let you go. I know for you it's like 11:30. Do you think Luka will ever return?
No, but
really?
You know what? Stranger things have happened.
What makes you think no? It was one guy who really wanted him gone.
Did you see the way he went at Jeremiah Fears last night for fouling him hard?
No.
So Luka lost his mind last night on rookie Jeremiah Fears, who had a hard foul, not a cheap shot, but a hard foul on him. Luka was so crazy at a foul. I can't imagine how he feels about the owner who traded him away and then proceeded to make all kinds of almost like fat phobic comments about him. Where he's like, if you want to come here, can't be on a vacation. Like Dumont said so much dumb shit that was fed to him. I don't believe for a minute he had a single independent Luka thought that mattered. Everything he said came from Nico.
Yeah.
And I just don't see Luka ever forgiving that. He takes the dumbest shit personally. That's what makes him great.
Yeah. I hope, one day he does, because it would be kind of cool to see Luka and Cooper together.
Yeah. Of course.
I think that would be a beautiful storyline.
I would enjoy it.
I would.
But it's too hard to predict right now.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kirk. Thank you for always doing this. Thank you for giving us a platform to speak. I don't know if you get that often, but I do appreciate you and what you and Josh do. Especially when you guys stay up to like 11 or 12 or even sometimes 1. And I do appreciate you and what you do. So thank you.
All right. Talk soon.
Yep. Take care.
All right. We have the pleasure of being joined 2 nights in a row by Mr. Green, who let me know, even though I guess it makes sense, that he only comes on after wins. So, how are we today, friend?
Don't know why I can't hear you, Kirk.
Can't hear me yet?
Can hear me, but I've lost
I can.
You. Can't hear you. Can hear me. I can't hear you.
Okay.
We'll save it for the next game, mate. Unless I can press a button here. What have I got here?
Yeah, it's sometimes it just doesn't.
No, I've just lost
the
my audio.
Oh no. Okay, that's very sad. How about now, Bueller?
Still got no audio.
Just a great platform. Well, people like Mr. Green's takes, so that's very sad. Okay, we'll go forth. Everybody, we will see you guys on Wednesday night. Thanks so much for hanging out. Go Mavs.